Action stories have fights, and there's a simple, effective way to write excellent fights. But what if I told you that these rules are applicable in conflicts and confrontations from genres that don't even have action? No fists are thrown and no bullets are shot, but stories like Breaking Bad, 12 Angry Men, and Death Note all use these rules to make their confrontations between two characters exciting. A good fight is built on tactics. In a fight, a tactic is an action taken to win the fight. These are the individual moves fighters make. There are two types of tactics, attacks and counters. An attack is the first move that is made. The only type of attack is a play. Examples would be diversions, surprise attacks, or feints. A counter is a move that is made in response to the opponent. There are two types of counters. The first is a weak spot, which targets a weakness in the opponent. This could be on their body, in their mind, or in their tactics. For example, if a character has strong arms but weak legs, targeting their legs would be a weak spot counter. The second counter is an adaptation. This tactic has the fighter using their creativity to neutralize a tactic used by the opponent. For example, if character A uses optical illusions on character B, an adaptation would be character B closing their eyes and using their hearing to locate A. The main difference between attacks and counters are that counters are designed for a specific opponent, while attacks can be used on any opponent. Diversions can be used on anyone. Targeting weak legs or using hearing are tactics designed for those opponents. The main difference between weak spot and adaptation is that a weak spot doesn't require creativity to take advantage of. It just requires knowledge of that weak spot. Meanwhile, an adaptation has a fighter using creativity to negate an opponent's tactic. These aren't mutually exclusive, so counters can be both weak spots and adaptations. Here is the basic plot structure for a good fight. Character A starts the fight with an attack, then character B responds with either tactics, counter, or attack. If the fight is short, that could be the end. In longer fights, character A responds with a tactic, and the cycle loops until the winner achieves victory by neutralizing their opponent's tactics and using a tactic that their opponent can't neutralize. As you'll see, there can be deviations, but the core idea remains. The importance of all of this is that it makes the win feel earned. It is especially cathartic when characters use creative tactics that you wouldn't have ever thought of. While not necessary, an extra trait is strategy. A strategy is an overarching plan used to win the fight, while the tactics are the small steps used to achieve that goal. Action anime are great at creating fights that make use of creative powers and tactics. I'll break down some examples towards the end, but here's how the tactics can be applied to different types of genres. A fight is a violent confrontation, which is the popular type of confrontation in action stories, but all genres have confrontations and their conflicts. A verbal confrontation is an example. To write a fight for a genre, first you have to establish the confrontation weapons. These are the ways that characters are allowed to attack each other. In battle anime and manga, the weapons usually include martial arts, swords, and magic. However, the weapons of a fight can change to fit any genre or setting. In Attack on Titan, the weapons are military tactics, weapons, Titan powers, and information. In Dune, the weapons are weapons, vehicles, and military tactics. In 12 Angry Men, the weapons are logic, proof, and tests. In Death Note, the weapons are logic, information, and deception. There are so many different ways for characters to tactically fight that aren't just fistfights and magic spells. Depending on the confrontation, the win condition or goal may change. If the confrontation is an argument, the goal will be to make the other person give up, likely through logic. If the confrontation is a fight, the goal will be to incapacitate or kill your opponent. Spoilers ahead for the stories mentioned. I'll begin with the most unconventional type of confrontations and move to the more action-based fights. Breaking Bad is up first. In Season 4, Walter and Gus have a fight. Walt's goal is to kill Gus. Their weapons are less predictable, but what's guaranteed is that they don't fight with fists. Walt starts by creating a bomb. Then he launches a complex plan to turn Jesse against Gus. Jesse has always kept ricin on him, so Walt has a professional pickpocket steal the ricin from Jesse. That's one play. Then he uses a new poison on Brock that seems like ricin, someone Jesse cares about. This is a play that takes advantage of a weak spot. With all of these steps, Walt makes Jesse think that Gus stole his ricin and poisoned Brock to turn him against Walt. Another play. This successfully makes Jesse his ally. This was all built up for the fight against Gus and could actually be considered its own fight, Walt versus Jesse, where Walt's goal was to turn Jesse on Gus. Walt's first play against Gus is to put his bomb in Gus's car, while Jesse gets him to go to the car. This doesn't work. His next play exposes Gus's weak spot. He only lets his guard down when he visits Hector, so Walter makes an alliance with the enemy of his enemy. He gets Hector to agree to a suicide attack, where Walter can kill Gus. With this groundwork laid, Walt makes another play. He and Hector draw out Gus by having him pretend to rat to the DEA. When Gus arrives and tries to kill Hector, the latter has a bomb under his wheelchair and gives Walt the signal to detonate it. This successfully kills Gus, giving Walt the win. This fight is unique for a couple of reasons. Gus doesn't even know he's in a fight against Walt until the last second. Fights don't have to be a traditional face-to-face conflict. Walter's weapons of combat are also uncommon. He uses a combination of science experiments like the bomb and the lily of the valley, deception, alliances, and espionage. In Better Call Saul's episode Chicanery, Jimmy and Chuck have a legal battle. Each has the goal of winning in court. There were smaller battles leading up to it. Jimmy attacked by tampering with Chuck's documents to help his girlfriend Kim. Chuck had no way to prove it, so he attacked by targeting one of Jimmy's weak spots, his love for his brother. He played up on his EHS disease and guilt-tripped Jimmy into admitting that he messed with the documents while secretly recording it. Then he made another play by intentionally revealing to Jimmy that he had the tape and baited him into breaking into his house to break it. This play opened the door for another play, which was taking legal action against Jimmy for B&E so he could never be a lawyer. That brings us to the courtroom. In court, Chuck's strategy was to prove that Jimmy wasn't fit to be a lawyer because he did something illegal. Jimmy's counter was to argue that he lied on the recording about his crime to make Chuck feel better and that the tape is just evidence that his brother hates him. He planned to accomplish this by mentally pushing his brother to a breaking point. First, he makes a setup play by having a professional pickpocket slip a fully charged battery in Chuck's pocket. This is a play that will expose one of Chuck's weak spots, his electromagnetic sensitivity disease. Chuck believes it's real, but most people believe it's all in his head. That'll be important later. Then his next setup play is bringing Chuck's ex-wife to the courtroom. This targets another one of Chuck's weaknesses, which is his desire to not be seen as weak. He hid his disease from her because of this weakness. His most direct attack involves targeting another one of Chuck's weak spots. He hates when people call him crazy. During his turn, he brings up his brother hiding his illness from his ex to weaken him. Then he gets him to explain his illness in detail so that he can expose the contradiction with proof. Chuck says that he can feel any electricity, but he failed to notice the battery in his pocket for hours. When one of his allies tries to counter this and implies that he's schizophrenic, Chuck loses it due to his craziness weak spot. He delivers a vicious monologue that shows how much he hates Jimmy, which is exactly what his brother wanted. This gives Saul the win. The weapons of combat here were similar to Breaking Bad, but with a more law focus. In court, Chuck fought with evidence and reasoning, but outside of court, he fought with deception and espionage. Jimmy being Jimmy also used deception tricks and mind games in court. Overall, the brothers targeted each other's weak spots to win the battle. In Death Note, Light vs. Naomi Misora is a good example. Light is secretly a serial killer who can kill with a name and a face. Misora is a detective who is trying to work with L, who is the lead detective hunting down Kira. Her goal is to ultimately bring down Kira. Light's goal is to kill Misora before she can contact L. She has a couple of weak spots that he can take advantage of. She doesn't know he's Kira, and she doesn't know about L's task force. Light's first setup play is to establish his credibility. He tells her that he's the son of a detective, which is true, and offers to let her use his phone to call L since he's currently in a meeting. He has her face, but he needs her name to kill her, so his next play is introducing himself so that she can say her name as well. She unknowingly counters his play by giving a fake name. During their conversation, Misora reveals the attack that she'll be able to unleash if she gets to L. It's a detailed deduction based on past events that would help narrow down the Kira suspects. It includes her husband, who Kira killed. Light knows that if this play goes through, L will get the proof to lock him up. Light decides to go for the kill shot and makes one more play. He asks for information about her theory and pretends to write it down. In reality, he's using the death note to write her death, but it doesn't work because of the fake name counter from before. This is where Light realizes she used an alias. Misora makes things worse by making another play. She asks Light to stop following her, but if he does, she'll be able to contact L and he'll lose. He counters by telling her it'll be impossible to contact the task force. She counters by asking how he knows all that, so he counters by preying on her lack of knowledge, her weak spot. He lies and says he's a member of the task force. As he buys more time and the conversation continues, she reveals that she worked with L in the past and Light reminds her of him. With this info, Light doubles down and pretends to recruit her into the task force. He even gives her a way out to make it seem like he isn't desperate. Unfortunately, she falls for the trap. His final play is asking for official identification, which is the last piece he needed. With a government name, he ends the match with her death. In this fight, the weapons of combat were information, deduction, deception, and the death note for Light. Similar to Gus Fring, Naomi Misora wasn't aware that she was in a fight until the last seconds of the battle. Light's fights with L are the most entertaining because they both know they're in combat and both have equal intelligence, resulting in intense mind games. The movie 12 Angry Men is made up almost entirely of confrontations. The weapons of combat are logic, evidence, tests, and examples. The goal is to defend your position and defeat the opponent's position. The characters are on jury duty and trying to decide whether they think the boy killed his father or not. The first battle is about the knife the boy used to stab his father. The opponents make a play by using the logic that it's a very unique knife, but the hero counters by pulling out an identical knife and explaining that he bought it cheap near the boy's house. This counter doesn't fully nullify the play, but it creates reasonable doubt. The fourth battle is about the boy returning 3 hours later after killing his dad. The opposition argues that he was in a panic, but the hero counters by asking how he would have wiped his fingerprints in a panic. A woman also screamed, so he would have known someone saw him. This creates more reasonable doubt. In Battle 5, they argue over the apartment. How could the old man have run to the door in 15 seconds with a limp? He claimed it was 15 seconds exactly, so the hero counters by acting it out using the exact measurements of the room. It took 41 seconds, disproving the argument. The last I'll cover is Battle 6, the movies. The boy couldn't remember any of the movies he'd seen, which makes him suspicious. The hero questions one of the opposing jurors about the movies he recently saw, because that juror said he would have been able to remember in that situation. When the hero grills him, the juror crumbles under pressure and says the wrong name of a movie he saw this week. He couldn't remember actors, even though he wasn't under emotional stress, creating reasonable doubt. The movie continues like this, battle after battle, until all the pieces of evidence have been disproved or given a reasonable doubt. All the battles are won with logical counters and are seasoned with interesting tests and memorable experiments. Next is Dune 2. In the fight with the Harvester, the Fremen are fighting against the Harkonnens, and the goal is to kill the enemy. The enemy has a Harvester, ornithopters, and foot soldiers. The Fremen have laser guns, rocket launchers, and foot soldiers. Before the battle even starts, there's already a complex dynamic due to the competing strategies. The Harkonnens want to protect their Harvester. The Fremen want to destroy it with their lasers, but they are countered by the existence of the Ornithopter with a fully automatic gun. So the Fremen's strategy is to find a way to get rid of the chopper so the lasers can take out the Harvester. The fight starts with the Fremen making a play by hiding in the sand and attacking the foot soldiers. The Fremen are winning, so the chopper counters by shooting at them from above. The Fremen adapt by hiding behind the Harvester's legs. They make a play to shoot down the chopper with a rocket, but it counters with a shield. Paul and Chani make another play to expose the weak spot of the chopper, which is that it lowers his shield to shoot. Paul draws out his fire while Chani shoots the rocket to blow it up. With the Ornithopter down, the lasers were free to shoot and took out the Harvester, ending the fight. The fight had clear logical steps that led to victory, making the fight feel satisfying. In Attack on Titan, the female Titan arc has a strong fight between the hero soldiers and the giant monster. The soldiers fought with numbers, military tactics, and weapons, while the enemy fought with their unique powers. Both sides also fought with information because their goal was to capture the main character, Eren. The leader of the soldiers predicted she'd be looking for Eren, so he made all of them wear hoods and split up, an information counter that forced the female to go hunting. While she was attacking Armin, he realized that she was looking for Eren, so he told her that Eren was wiped out with one of the squads she already hit. This counter stopped her for long enough to save an ally, but then a double agent secretly wrote a message on her hand, telling her where Eren was. The Survey Corps launch a play that captures the female Titan with several spears, but she counters by summoning smaller Titans to eat her body. After recovering, she makes a play by wearing the Survey Corps uniform to surprise attack a squad before transforming into a Titan again. The elite squad attacks her weak spots, but she counters by focusing her healing on one eye, speeding up the regeneration time and surprising the squad. After she eliminates the squad, Eren makes a play to fight back as the attack Titan. This fight relied on gathering information, espionage, weapons, and unique Titan powers. Both sides went back and forth with tactics really well. Here are anime examples of regular fights that were promised at the start. The two fights I will break down are Luffy vs Enel and Sasuke vs Deidara. In the One Piece fight, Luffy's main power is his rubber body, while Enel's is his lightning body and manipulation. At the start of the fight, Enel's play was to shoot Luffy with lightning, but Luffy's rubber body was a natural counter. I count this as a weak spot, since it was natural. Luffy was able to land punches because of rubber and lightning's relationship. Enel decided to change tactics and use another play. He started using his mind-reading ability to avoid all of Luffy's attacks. Luffy adapted by blindly bouncing his attacks off the walls. Since Luffy didn't know where his attacks were going, Enel's mind-reading was neutralized. Then Enel came up with another play. He used his lightning to shapeshift a golden orb around Luffy's fist. This weighed him down when he was pushed off the ship. When Luffy returns, he uses the golden orb to disrupt Enel's thunderstorm and punches him with it, ending the fight. This is a reuse of the same weak spot. In the Naruto fight, Deidara has exploding clay, while Sasuke mainly has lightning, alongside other abilities. Deidara's strategy is to blow up Sasuke. Sasuke's strategy is to use lightning to disarm the clay bombs, since lightning is his natural weakness. It's a complex fight, but I'll simplify it. Deidara's first big tactic is a play where he flies on a clay dragon, just out of Sasuke's range, and plants mines underground, that way he could attack from above and below. Through small tests, Sasuke discovers that his lightning is a natural weakness to the clay bombs. This is a weak spot. He uses a lightning-covered sword to disarm a mine, and then steps on the sword to gain range, so that he can cut the clay dragon. The sword foothold is an adaptation to the range problem. Deidara's next major play is using a technique that creates nanoscopic bombs to detonate the victim from within. When Sasuke makes an illusion play to attack from behind, Deidara sees through it with a mechanical eye. This is an adaptation. Then he traps Sasuke in place and uses his nanobomb technique. Sasuke counters by hitting himself with a lightning technique. This is a weak spot and adaptation, because he uses his lightning creatively. Then he uses his magical eyes to trick Datara into thinking that he died from the activation of the nanobombs, allowing him to surprise attack from behind. This is a play. That's the end of the lightning versus clay dynamic, and Sasuke eventually wins. As you can see, almost any confrontation between two parties can be written like a fight. Once the goal and weapons are clearly defined, the confrontation is formed. The more unique the goals and weapons are, the more unique the confrontation is. What makes a good fight is good tactics. The two types of tactics are attacks and counters. Attack has plays, and counter has weak spots and adaptations. By resolving the fight through logical clashes of plays, weak spots, and adaptations, it ensures that the fight is not only entertaining, but resolved in a satisfying way. It won't feel convenient or like a Deus Ex Machina. It will feel earned because all of the puzzle pieces were laid out ahead of time. They just had to be put together. Also, the more back and forth there is, the more interesting the confrontation is. I'll call this the GWT conflict system. The reason I started with fights is because it's much easier to analyze the tactics in a fight. Once you understand the breakdown of fight tactics, then you can apply the same principles to any type of confrontation.